Hi everyone. Well, today I decided to tackle a subject that I don't believe we've tackled before, and that is relief engraving. Now, the similar sort of idea when you're cameo engraving, and that is when you're carving through layers of color and you're carving away the background, but this is on clear glass, or in this case clear crystal. It's going to have a very interesting effect. You're doing the engraving sort of not quite the reverse, but you are making it stand out, but actually physically stand out. And the only way you can really do this effectively is with a relatively thick crystal, or glass if you're brave. I've chosen this little glass, dainty little. I think we have worked on this before, and I can't remember what subject, but it is a lovely, heavy, very old lead crystal, and I have drawn two very, very simple. Hang on, let's find a black piece of black cloth. Having just come back from Qatar, this is my first video while back from Qatar, and so I'm not particularly well organized yet. Right, here we are. The most basic leaf shapes. And the reason why I've done that as well, you will see near the top here. Oh, maybe you can see that. No, it's going to focus on my face, isn't it? Near the top of the leaf, and I'll point out here, I'll draw a little line. I'm expecting that this is a sort of thing, all subject to change, of course, as usual. Not only will I be cameo engraving, but not cameo engraving, relief engraving, but I want to show you carving around the rim of the glass as well. So you can see I'm intending the leaf to be sort of coming over the top of the glass eventually. That will be carved away, and coming down, sort of meeting the other leaf and flowing down. And I don't know what else I'm going to add to it. I have no idea. But it's just to give you the basic idea of relief engraving. I might, depending how much background I take away, I might sort of just blend it into the background so it's not all engraved. And then I might do an ordinary engraving further down, so it's like a contrast. But it's just whatever blows my hair back, as usual. And yeah, I could have chosen different subjects. You've actually, well, you might not have seen, but I have seen a lot of engravers have used the subject of horses, you know, trotting around the top of the glass if you feel like carving out a horse. I don't particularly right now. But flowers, of course, I've done many flowers carved around the top of the glass. And I'll have to decide how far around I go, whether I sort of blend it upwards to the rim again. This is a trick that a lot of engravers have used when you are presented with a chipped glass, and you don't want to try and fix it. There's nothing else you're going to do about it apart from throw it into the bin. But you could, if it's in a case like this is not chipped by the way, but doing the carving around the top is a nice idea. Now I'm talking about carving, but really this video is about, first of all, the relief engraving. So what I'm going to be doing is carving away the background and leaving the leaves in relief, and then adding the engraving into the leaf as well. It's going to be interesting. It's a hang of a long time since I've done a plain glass relief engraving. I do a lot of colour cameo engraving. So yeah, this will be a little bit of fun, but I think it's a subject that can be played with a lot, really can be played with a lot, and I think you might have fun. So very simple subject to start off with, couple of leaves, nothing complicated, and we shall go from there. So enjoy the video. Okie dokes. So here we have our glass ready to be tackled. I've just got a little white Arkansas stone in my drill, and yes, I said Arkansas. The debate goes on whether it's Arkansas or Arkansas, but I have been convinced that Arkansas is still fine to say. So, okay, I've just done the basic outline, and here I have a little darling. It's called a little darling. It is a very small wheel with diamond all the way around, and is very useful when you are carving through layers of colour, whether it's cameo, whether it's relief, and in this case it's relief. It's just a really nice, useful tool. You'll see why. As you can see, I've got the dust extractor on its fired up, and just demonstrating the suction level of it. Got my water. Nope, still not ready. Sorry guys. Seriously, I should have edited that out. Okay, let's go. Holding it on its side, cutting, it's literally cutting at a right angle all the way down. I mean, yes, you can use a little ball diamond, but this is quite efficient. It's got a really strong cut, and this, I must say, because it is such good crystal, is like absolute butter to carve into. Now I'm just going around the edges. I'm not too worried about what the outer edge is like, but I am concentrating more on the inner edge, the actual edge of the leaf itself, not its background, because what we're doing is we're working the background. So basically, starting off with neatening the edges, you can use now a variety of burrs to start to take away the background. I have in my hands some white tack, some sticky, what we used to call sticky stuff in Africa. And with this, I'm just going to show you how deep I have gone just in those few, well, couple of minutes really. Just made it a little bit soft and pressing it in nicely. And there you are. There you are. You can see it's relatively deep. taking it up to the edge, right near the top. I haven't gone very deep. I still don't know what I'm going to be doing at the end of this recording or at the end of this engraving. As you know, I've sort of I was planning, am planning, or whatever, who knows, to carve away the leaf at the top. But for the moment, as I went up to the top rim, I didn't go quite as deep as the rest. I mean, generally the glass is going to not be as thick at the top as it is near the bottom, obviously. But actually, in this case, it's not too bad. It is a decent thickness. And as I say, you can use other small round burrs if you haven't got a little darling. If you want to purchase one of these, I certainly can get my hands on some for you. I don't sell them as a general rule. Obviously, it's not necessarily what a lot of engravers need. You can see here I am sort of putting it down and pulling it away. There are many things you can do with this. It's really good for cutting into leaves or something like that, or bark, you know, really making cuts. And I'm actually demonstrating a passable background with sort of like a cross hatching, a really rough cross hatching. Again, as I've said, I am just experimenting as I go along. I'm not sure how we're going to finish this. So I've very roughly cross-hatched into it, and now I've got a hard rubber, and I'm just going to run it over the top so you can see it's got a nice textured background. It's just a thought. I love doing texture, absolutely love doing texture. However, as you can see, plan B. I ditched that idea and just got myself a nice round diamond, and I'm just smoothing out, but not smoothing out, kind of roughly smoothing out, and pulling away from the edge, because now it doesn't matter. Now I'm not really sure how far out I'm going, but and it doesn't have to be neat at this stage. It's just, I'm just going for it, basically. What I'm leaving neat is, or are, the leaves. Also the leaves, I'm not really sure how I'm going to finish those yet. There's so many different things that you can do with them. But I'm going to do probably the most simplest, and just concentrate on the background for fun in this particular piece. Now, often, as you know, you look at your little ball diamond burrs, and there's diamond sort of running around the back of them, and you use probably not so much the very top of it either, but you certainly don't generally use the back of the diamond. But in actual fact, if I was to be engraving on the other side of that leaf, I could be running the back of the diamond along the edge of the leaf, and that would have a similar effect, although not as good as the little darling. So what I'm trying to do, although I'm not that particular about it, I'm kind of getting rid of the deep line, the single line. I just am blending it out more. And not necessarily going down to the same depth, of course. I'm just sort of slowly grading it out, so you actually can't really tell. You only see the depth next to the leaf. I kind of like to have this with the finish effect of something like lino cut. You know, where you've sort of gouged away with your tools, and you've got this kind of roughish sort of background, making it look really arty. I like that idea. I think there's nothing wrong with that at all. Now I know that I had in my mind that perhaps these leaves, the way I had done that edge of that leaf, I started thinking, oh, do they look a little bit sort of holly-like? Not that I intended that at all, but then my mind started to, somewhere in the back of it, started to design or it had a little idea of something which you'll see just now. And no, I didn't turn it into a Christmas glass, but holly jumped into my mind just for that moment. Right here I have my little darling again, using very much the back of it. I think you can see the light picking up the edge a little bit. You can already see that it's got a different effect. It's quite deep. And I've turned the glass around, of course, so that I can use the back of the burr deliberately. I wonder how many of you have tried this before. And guess what? Of course, this is going to be the subject or the technique, if you like, for our next bit of homework and little exhibition that I do for whoever fancies having a go and whoever fancies sending in their pictures. I would suggest something simple like a leaf, or you can do absolutely whatever you like, but the whole idea will be to tackle it as relief engraving. And if you can't get your hands on a very thick glass, then you can use the same sort of idea on a glass that is thinner, but obviously not carve in as deep, and it's a good practice just pretending it's thick and working the background rather than the foreground. I will this month I will put an announcement up, and just for those who don't get to watch this particular recording, I will put an announcement up about this homework. And for those of you who might be watching this video many years hence, forget it. this particular piece of homework will have long been done. Right, okay. It's really for the benefit of my patrons. And it is now the end of February 2021. Okay, so here you can see that I'm just demonstrating briefly the depth. It is actually not showing up as that deep on this. But anyway, it is relatively deep, and it's just a bit of fun, really. I'm just showing you the thickness of the rim, actually. It's quite impressive. Probably not the best to drink out of, because I do like a very fine rim if I'm drinking a fine wine or whatever. But, you know, for engraving purposes, this is such a beautiful glass, and the crystal, the quality of this crystal is stunning. Now, if this had been a color overlay, the overlay would generally only be about 1 millimeter or so. Sometimes not even anywhere near 1 millimeter. So this depth would be enough to remove the color and get through to the clear. So here I have a little white Arkansas, and I am going to draw in some little, or engrave in some little veins. As you can see, I've very roughly sketched them in. And I've added another leaf. And so the story continues. Back to our little darling again, and wetting the glass. We're going to do the same again with the extra leaf. Now, as I've mentioned near the bottom, it's getting quite a lot thicker, and so just automatically give it a little bit more depth, just because I can. Now, you can see that the leaf seems to be coming from nowhere, because I've just added it, having already done a little bit of a background behind the other leaf. But there's plenty of thickness still for me to give it a stem which disappears underneath the other leaf. So you will see I do that quite effectively. There's a really therapeutic feeling about this kind of carving. I don't know why. I should do it more often. It's just fun. Now I'm also thinking, as I'm engraving, that I could see this pattern going all the way around the glass. That would be really nice. Here I have yet another little diamond round ball burr. I like this one. This is actually a sintered diamond. As most of you know, sintered diamond is diamond going all the way through the burr. So all it ever does is change shape. Just lasts a very long time. It's much more expensive, of course, but well worth it. So again, I'm just pulling it away from the edges and roughly smoothing it, if you know what I mean. So as soon as I finished editing this particular video, I will be going straight on to the final video and editing and doing a voiceover for that. And I have a new surprise in store for you. It is exciting for me. It's super smooth, it's super quiet, it's super sleek, it's efficient, and I'm not going to say anything else. You'll have to wait and see. Right, so we're slowly getting there. Now you can visualize, just like I've been visualizing, the whole glass covered in the same sort of pattern. But in the meantime, guess what I've been thinking of? Berries. Yes. I told you I had holly on the mind, but these being just berries, not holly berries, just berries. I just felt like it. I just thought, to fill in the spaces. Random. They're a nice shape. Having just done that pendant, maybe I've got little circles and berries and droplets on the mind. What have I got there? I've got a very, very small diamond by the looks of things. It was all a bit blurred. Okay, so what I'm doing here, actually, I'm using the diamond instead of, and I've just wiped out my berries, instead of the little darling. Because of course the little darling it's better for sort of longer, slightly straighter lines, whereas these are very small circular ones, and so it's more efficient to use a little round burr. As I say, you can use this for the leaves anyway, I will be using more the back of the burr, of course. Now you can see I have just created a little stem out of nowhere, just digging slightly deeper around the shape of the stem, and now I am basically engraving around the shape of the berries. Again, going quite deep. I still don't know in my mind how I'm doing the berries, so all I'm doing is creating a background, and then I will decide as I go along. I think at this point as well, I was starting to get quite excited about it. To begin with, it's always a little bit daunting if you're picking up a piece of glass and you actually haven't got a clue what you're going to do with it. I knew I wanted to do relief engraving, and that was the main thing. And so, yeah, quite happy about it now. I'm glad I'm sticking to a simple subject, of course. Often simple is effective. As I say, less is more, and I think you can do so much more with simple. Again, you can see I'm carving around the edge of a stem, and this kind of disappears underneath the leaf. I will sort of roughly shade it as well, because it'll be a ridge, and therefore I can pick it up easily with a rubber. Just using the little simple strokes to again take away that ledge, that sort of ridge. So the only ridge is against the berry, and then after that I want it to sort of level out a little bit. So here I've got a large diamond burr, and now I'm going to work on the sort of larger areas that I've neglected up till now. As I've mentioned, my idea is not smooth, not like a baby's bottom, but a texture, but not a rough texture. I want it to look arty. And I'm still thinking, do I want a particular texture, a particular shape? Yeah, I'm liking it. I am liking it. Okay, here's to the next video.